Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. All right, I'm sitting at my desk. I'm going through mail that for some reason I had misplaced and I hadn't gotten to it in a long time. Hopefully nothing horrible in there that was time dependent. But as I'm going through it, I just got something that fits so well with my video thought for today that I wanted to share it with you. So this is a nice note that is wrapped around 3 pairs of Kent Wool Performance men's classic ankle socks. And these were sent to me by a lawyer friend of mine, Scott Dover. And he sent a nice letter along with the socks that he's provided. And with this letter, he says he was amazed at and enjoyed the seminar that I had presented that he went to. He said that to do what I do, I should be quick on my feet, so I need some of the best socks on the planet, which he says these are. He goes on to say they're made in a small reclaimed textile mill in his hometown of Pickens, South Carolina. So I'm stoked to try these, and I thank Scott for providing them. And they come well because this week, my video thoughts for today are centered on different names that are given in the Bible associated with Jehovah God. To understand these names, I need to do a little background. Jehovah is an anglicized, an English version of the name of God that's written in Hebrew in the Old Testament. Now, the name of God is just 4 consonants in the Old Testament. Biblical Hebrew didn't have vowels. There were sounds associated with the consonants, but we don't know exactly how to say God's name. And a good practicing Jew will not even try to pronounce God's name because his name is too holy to be pronounced or uttered. So those that aren't Jewish would try to pronounce the name of God as Yahweh or something like that. But out of respect for my Jewish friends and a respect for the holiness of God's name, I will simply use one of the common Hebrew tools, which is just to substitute instead of Jehovah or the name of God, Hashem. So yesterday I spoke about Hashem with Nissi. Nissi is the Hebrew that means my banner. Okay. Today I want to talk about Hashem or Hashem Yireh. Yireh comes from Ra'ah, the Hebrew verb that means sort of to see, but it's also in this sense to provide. And it's spelled oftentimes in English as Jehovah and then Jireh, Jehovah Jireh. But there's nothing in Hebrew that sounds remotely like either of those words. So we'll say Hashem Yireh. And Hashem Yireh is a marvelous idea that comes out of Genesis chapter 22. Now in Genesis 22, Abraham's been told to sacrifice Isaac up on Mount Moriah, and he gets all the stuff, and he gets Isaac, and he makes the journey there. And when he gets there, Isaac's carrying the wood up, and Isaac says, we've got everything but the sacrifice, Dad, where's the sacrifice? And Abraham hasn't told Isaac yet that God had told him to take Isaac and sacrifice Isaac. So Abraham says, God's going to provide for the sacrifice. And they get up there, and before Abraham can sacrifice his son Isaac, God stops him. And God says, this is me putting God into English terms, but blown away by your faithfulness, Abraham, but don't harm the boy. There's a ram in the thicket. Use that for the sacrifice, and God provides it. Abraham then names the place according to the fact that Yahweh, Hashem, has provided Yireh there. So that is the provision of God. And I love that because the provision of God isn't simply sending socks when they're needed and wanted. The provision of God is something that comes also when we're in crisis mode. You see, our crisis is God's opportunity. And so today, my video thought for the day is centered in Where do I need God to be the provider? Because that is one of his names. He is Hashem Yireh. He is God the provider. And I'm going to lean on that today. I need that today, and I hope you do as well, because it's your video thought for the day. More names of God tomorrow.